in here. So, yeah. So I don't mind if you give me a lot of feedback. I'm not trying to make it like typical, super quiet kind of whatever. So let's keep doing what we're doing. Don't worry about that. This is a concept that is not in your book, but we do need this because the next lesson we get into is into complex numbers. We're going to learn about this wonderful value of I, imaginary numbers. Okay? I really like teaching this actually. So if you're worried about that, don't worry, give me a chance. Give me a chance, but before we get to that, we have to learn just this definition really quick of what a closed system is. A closed system, okay? Now, for instance, if you get to travel at all, you know, maybe if you went to Europe, what kind of money do they use in Europe? All of Europe uses? The euros, okay? So one thing, you know, I actually got to go to Italy earlier this year for a training for free. It was awesome. Because I run trips, they send me on these free trainings. Amazing. So I had a bunch of euros, and you know, I'm in the airport leaving. I want to get a bunch of little gifts. I want to spend all my euros. Why do I want to spend all my euros before I get on the plane? Because no one will accept euros here. If you try to pull out a euro to pay for, you know, anything, they will say no. And that's how it works. So anytime you're traveling, you're trying to spend all that money out. Because if I'm in Europe, right, and I use a euro, isn't it like euro? You know, if I buy a euro or I combine some euros, guess what I have in my pocket? Euros, right? This would be a closed system. I think of it as like you're closed within the border, right? When I went to Peru this year, they had soles. Sole, if I have a sole and somebody in my group pays me back for borrowing some soles, what do I have in my pocket? Soles. You know, if you're in Mexico, I was in Mexico as well. If you have peso, and you know, you get some money back from a friend, you have some more pesos. What do you have in your pocket? Pesos. Okay. This is a closed system. Just like if you were closed within the border of a country and you're using the exchange money there, you know that if you're dealing with soles or pesos or euros, you're in that country. You're only carrying soles, euros, or pesos. Because why would you carry, you know, soles if you're in Europe? It doesn't make sense. All this is saying is a closed system is when you start with, in this case, z is our integer. It's our integer, our whole numbers, right? You start with an integer, and you add to that another integer. Guess what you end up with? An integer, right? With addition, 3 plus 2, what does that equal? 5. We know we started with an integer, we ended with an integer. So when it's a closed system, whatever operation, we are going to look at if it's closed for integers in all these systems, right? Or all these operations. You know it's closed if what you start with and what you end with are the same thing, okay? You might think of an open system. The open system might be when you're going to exchange money in the airport, right? Because in that case, you could give dollars, and what could you return? What could you get in return? Euros, any of those amounts, right? Okay, so that's kind of analogous of what all this is. Hope that's helpful. Give me an example of an integer. Anybody? Integer. 2. What else? 5. -3, 15. Ooh, that's the one. We needed that. 87. That's good. All right, give me an example of a rational number. Remember, is denoted by that Q. It's like the double Q there. What's a rational number? 1/4. Okay, give me another. -87/3. Yeah? Is that your favorite number? Nice. All right, one more.
20.
Can I put 20 over 1?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see that, okay, all integers are inside the circle of rational numbers because all integers we can make into what? 2 over 1, 87 over 1, -3 over 1, 15 over 1, 5 over 1, right? But are all rational numbers integers? No. 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 Well, that one is yes. And you know what? That's going to be confusing. So I'm going to just erase erase that. Didn't see it. I'm just going to put 1/20th so there's not a weird double agent in there. Okay. So let's look to see what happens. That's the majority of what we're going to talk about. Let's see with addition. Let's see, we'll use some integers in here. 2 plus 15. What does that equal?
17.
Integer, right? Integer. Integer. Is addition closed for integers? Is it closed? Remember, it was closed if we start with the same thing as we end with. So yes, it's closed. Okay. Subtraction. Let's see some more integers. 87 minus 15. Integer. Integer. What are we going to end up with? 72. Integer. So we know subtraction is closed. It's closed, like a closed within the boundaries of a country or territory. You use the same kind of money. If you end up with the same thing, you know it's closed. Okay. Multiplication. Let's see. 8 times 3. Integer. Integer. What do we get? 24. We get an integer. There's no way to start with an integer, multiply them, and end up with anything but an integer. That's why it's closed. We know that. Multiplication? Closed. All right, I want you on your own. This is the one oddball. I want you to give me an example where division is not closed. This is a weird one because the answer really to this is it matters. It depends on the type of integers that are involved. But let's put it as a fraction. And I want you to find two values here that maybe will make it so that it is not closed. And talk to your neighbor too. Talking to groups. It's the last little bit. On Simon or Bop It? Bop It, I've gotten like 75.
So you hold the record?
Yeah.
I tried beating it, I couldn't.
It took me forever. I spent like 3 weeks on my prep just trying to beat it.
6.
You got 6.
You got 6, Steve?
No, just 6.
Keep on trying. See, you're walking when you're doing it. That's my hall pass. So you got to be in a quiet room, just like this. I get intense with Bop It.
We used to do that with Candace Berkeley, you know, the thing where you call it Bop It, so you put the two together, you had two in both hands, you have one ball and you hit it together, that's Bop It. And then you have to flip the paddle and hit it, and that's then it.
And somebody says it while it's in the air.
That's a lot of work. Yeah.
It sounds
Somebody goes-
stressful.
You're like balancing your team, and somebody goes Bop It, and you have to put it together, twist it, and then you have to flick it.
You got to turn the paddle.
Yeah, you turn the paddle on.
Okay. Challenge accepted. Maybe I'll make that a game day activity. I actually have smash ball, the paddle, big paddle with the ball, blue ball. So I'll bring that in. Okay, back to math. That's a nice little brain break. JJ, what'd you get? That's two integers.
I did 17 divided by 2, about 8.5.
17 divided by 2, 8.5. So actually, if we leave this and we say it, that's a mixed fraction of 8 1/2. So we start with an integer. We divide an integer. In this case, we end up with a rational number, just like so. Okay. Did anybody think of two integers that would be a closed system? So in this case, this example was open, but it could be closed. Give me a closed example. Yes, Israel.
You can do 18 over 9.
If I did 18, which is an integer, and that's confusing, over 9, which is an integer, I end up with 2, which is an integer. So that is closed. Okay, does that make sense? Did the money example kind of help a little bit? Okay. I can come up with other ones like your challenge. All right. That's all I have for the lesson. That's is a mini lesson, right? There's one problem, and honestly, there's going to be probably an example having to do with division for the quiz. Okay. Now, one thing you haven't done yet is you haven't asked people watching to subscribe. That's one thing I do. Sometimes we yell different things in here for the video. Subscribe is still the big one because the winner, it's 250. I'm at like 210. The winner of the Kit Kat, the next Kit Kat, is the 250th subscriber. So that's my giveaway, and we need to encourage them to subscribe. So I'll take suggestions. But I say we just do like 1, 2, 3 and yell subscribe. But does anybody else have a suggestion to kind of like spruce that up a little bit?
You have people that can beatbox.
Subscribe.
Who can beatbox? That happened last year. Last year somebody made full-on rap and performed it.
Oh.
I've had just filming the shoes dance contests before. Can't film students. But if any of that speaks to you, you're like dance contest right now. Let me know. Should we just subscribe on 3? Subscribe or else on 3?
Oh, we can like yell subscribe.
Yeah.
Or like go lower or else. Like, make it always leave.
Subscribe.
No.
Subscribe. Like that?
No, I'm not like subscribe or else. No,
Oh, that's good.
Wait, wait,
All right.
hold on. I can do a demonic voice. You want me to do that?
Yes.
So you go, subscribe.
Let's do that. It's almost Halloween, so let's do subscribe or else. All right, subscribe or else on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Subscribe
Or else.
Let's go.
That might be the best one of the year. That one's good.